Hey everyone, and welcome back to Cat Scratch Kitchen. Whether you like it, hate it, are scared of it, or excited about it, the AI craze is not going anywhere anytime soon. Before we know it, it will be in all our electric appliances in some way or another. So today, we wanted to try a program by Google. This program is part of Google's Art and Culture page and is called Food Mood. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to play around with it yourself. So what does it do? You have a sentence with 4 parameters you can change. The first one is the type of dish you want to make, either a starter, soup, main course, or dessert. Then you choose how many people you want the dish to serve, from 1 to 10 people. Now comes the AI part of the program. You choose 2 different countries and click on Let's Cook. The AI will try and bring aspects of the cuisine from each of the countries together to create a dish that is a fusion of the 2. After the recipe is created, it will also try to generate an AI image of what it thinks your dish might look like. From playing around with this, it's a little hit and miss with the images. And are these recipes going to taste any good? I have no idea. But I can say some of them that we came across definitely did not sound appetizing to me. But for our first try, we went with a simple soup just to see how it turns out. We chose the US and a random country that landed on Mozambique. It named the recipe Waves of Mozambique. So let's jump in and see how this turns out. The recipe as offered is in grams and milliliters, so you have to have a scale available or go ahead and convert it to cups and ounces. I used a scale so that I do it exactly as the recipe called for. I'm going to use a tablespoon of olive oil, and we want this on medium heat. I have 1 onion chopped. It didn't specify a size of onion, so I just used a small white onion, and I'm only making the recipe for 2 servings because if it turns out crappy, I don't want a whole lot of it left over. And I have 2 cloves of garlic minced. And we're going to cook them on medium heat until softened, about 5 minutes. Now I'm taking all the measurements and times directly from their recipe, so I want to give it a fair shot. Okay, the onions have started to soften just after a couple of minutes. I don't want to go too much further because I don't want to burn the garlic. Next, it calls for 150 grams of sweet potatoes. This is where I took some liberties with the recipe because it doesn't specify sliced, diced, whole. Obviously, we don't want a whole sweet potato in there. So I cut them into a medium dice just so they'll be sure to cook through. 100 grams of corn. I'm just using whole kernel corn that has been frozen and thawed. And the recipe says to cook the sweet potato and corn until the sweet potato is just starting to soften, about 5 minutes. I don't know if that's going to be long enough for the sweet potato to start to soften, but we'll go ahead and give it a try, and I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. I don't think the sweet potato has actually softened very much, but it does go ahead and simmer in a broth before it's finished. So we'll go ahead at this point and continue the way the recipe says. The next item we have is 200 milliliters of vegetable stock and 100 grams of coconut milk. Now, when I researched Mozambique to see exactly what kind of flavors were in their cuisine, I found that it was mostly Portuguese. There was some African and some Indian. The coconut milk makes me think more of Indian food. The corn and sweet potatoes, they could have some of the American influence in there, but most families, from what I had read, have their own cornfields. They grow their own corn, so it's definitely a Mozambique part of their cuisine, as well as potatoes, and I'm assuming sweet potatoes are some of the potatoes they grow, but that could also be part of the American influence. So it kind of appears to me that it's more of a Mozambique dish than a fusion of American and Mozambique. but we'll continue on and we'll see how it turns out. We also need to add a 1/4 teaspoon of chili flakes and salt and pepper, and it says to taste. So I'm going to use about 1/2 teaspoon of each. It does smell good. So the recipe says to bring it to a boil, then reduce the heat to low and simmer for 15 minutes or until the sweet potatoes are tender. So we'll go ahead and let this simmer for 15 minutes and see how it is. Okay, it's been 15 minutes, but the sweet potatoes are definitely not tender yet. They're almost there, but we're going to go ahead and give it a few more minutes. We gave it about another 7 minutes, and the sweet potato is tender now. Turned off the heat, and now it says to hit it with an immersion blender until puree it until the soup is smooth. And now we stir in 1/4 of a lime juiced and a tablespoon of chopped cilantro. It is very thick, like a really thick chowder almost. I know that one of the traditional dishes in Mozambique is a soup much like this made with corn flour. The pictures I've seen of it are really thick like this. So now we'll put it in a bowl, give it a taste. Okay, now we'll give it a try. It's interesting. It reminds me a lot of a corn chowder, but there's that background of sweetness from the sweet potatoes and definitely a spicy kick from the chili flakes. Not something I think I could eat a whole bowl of, but it's definitely not inedible. And I'm sure to somebody's taste, this would be wonderful. It's not actually my taste, but it's not bad. So if you have ideas for other countries to pair up and make a fusion dish, be sure and leave it in the comments, and maybe we'll give it another try. Our first try at an AI-generated recipe from Google's Food Mood. If you enjoyed this experiment and have some countries that you would like us to try, just throw them down in the comments and we might revisit this again. There are many other AI-assisted cooking tools out there and more popping up every day. If you have a favorite that you use, let us know about it in the comments. We'd love to hear your experience with them. As always, the recipes will be linked below so you can print it out and try it for yourself. Hit the like button if you liked this video and share it with a friend. Until next week, don't forget, have fun in the kitchen.